So let's talk about OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder. You hear that term thrown around all the time, right? But honestly, it's got to be one of the most misunderstood mental health conditions out there. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden side of OCD and get to the truth of what it's really like.
Okay, be honest. When you hear OCD, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it someone who's just super clean? Or maybe they're just really organized? You know, just a personality quirk, right?
Yeah, well, the short answer is a big no. What you see in movies and on TV, that's barely scratching the surface, and a lot of the time, it's just plain wrong. So today, let's get to the real story.
All right, let's dive right in. We're going to start by uncovering that invisible struggle, the one that really defines what OCD is like for millions of people every single day.
So, what does real OCD actually feel like? Well, it's got nothing to do with loving a tidy desk. It's about being trapped by these intrusive, unwanted thoughts you just can't shake. Can you imagine performing these exhausting mental rituals that nobody else can even see, just desperately trying to get some relief? Or being stuck in this endless loop of checking and rechecking things? Your whole day can get hijacked by these what-if loops. And underneath it all, a deep, crushing shame about the thoughts your own brain is making. And that need for someone to tell you it's okay, it never, ever works for long.
And that actually leads us to a really important idea called pure O. Now, pure O is the type of OCD where all the compulsions, the things someone does to ease that crazy anxiety, they're all happening inside their head. They're totally invisible, and this is exactly why it's so misunderstood. We're not talking about hand-washing here. We're talking about invisible battles. And because of that, so many people suffer in silence for years, thinking there's something fundamentally broken about them, when really they have a treatable condition.
And this is maybe the most important thing to get. Having an intrusive thought does not mean you want that thing to happen. Not at all. In fact, OCD is kind of cruel. It latches onto the things a person values and loves the most. It's like your brain's fire alarm is just broken and going off for no reason.
So, this whole invisibility thing we've been talking about, it has a real and pretty serious consequence. It means for a lot of people, it's a long, painful road to getting the right diagnosis and finding help.
So just take a second and think about it. With this struggle being so hidden, how long do you think it takes on average for someone to get the right treatment from the very first time they have a symptom?
11+ years. Seriously, just let that sink in for a minute. Over a decade. A decade of suffering in silence, feeling trapped, feeling ashamed, all before finding help that can actually make a difference. That is the real cost of getting this condition wrong.
But, and this is a big but, there is some really good news here. Once OCD is diagnosed correctly, there is a proven solution that offers so much hope. So let's look at how treatment actually works.
Okay, so the absolute gold standard therapy for OCD is called ERP. That stands for Exposure and Response Prevention. And the idea behind it is actually pretty straightforward, but it's incredibly powerful. You gradually, and in a safe way, face the thoughts and situations that trigger those obsessions. That's the exposure part. And then, and this is key, you choose not to do the compulsive ritual. That's the response prevention. You're literally retraining your brain, teaching it that it can handle the anxiety all on its own.
So, the big question, does it work? Oh yeah, it works. For folks who complete the therapy, we're talking about a huge number. Like 70 to 80% of people see a major reduction in their symptoms. We're talking 3/4 of people. This isn't just wishful thinking. This is a scientifically proven way to get better.
So, what are the big things to remember about treatment? Well, for starters, combining ERP with medication, that often gives the best results. And yeah, it's true. The longer OCD goes untreated, the more dug in those rituals can get. But, and this is huge, ERP works at any age. It is never, ever too late to get help.
All right, so we've looked at the problem and we've looked at the solution. Now let's get to the most important part. What's that very first step to relief? What does that path forward actually look like for someone?
Getting help really boils down to 3 pretty simple steps. First step, recognize the real symptoms. Remember what we said about pure O? If your whole struggle is inside your head, that is still OCD, and it absolutely deserves specialized care. Step 2, go online and take a free confidential screening. And step 3, find specialized care from people who are actually trained in treatments like ERP. That part's key.
And if you happen to be in Georgia, the material we looked at had some specific resources just for you. There's a free 2-minute screening you can take online, and specialized care is available through telehealth in all 159 counties from places like Coping and Healing Counseling. They have therapists trained in ERP who are ready to help.
I really want to leave you with this last thought. After years, sometimes even decades, of that silent, invisible fight, the relief that people talk about after getting the right treatment, it's not just a little better. It is, so often, life-changing. It's that feeling of finally getting your life back from all the what-ifs and the doubt. And for anyone out there listening, that is a journey that is absolutely worth starting.